Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool, from her she shed in her beautiful backyard. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
Hi, everyone. So glad that you're with us today. Well, we got Kim Rogers here today with us. I told you all she was going to be here. She is known as the Worm Queen. I have to tell you, my mind has been blown. I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory as to why I reached out to her company and said, hey, I want to have Kim Rogers on. So we've been helping people get ivermectin, as you know, for the last over a year now. And I started realizing that there were a lot of people taking ivermectin that were using it for detoxing and not maybe other protocols like what Dr. Mackus does. And I got to just kind of reflecting back. I've been a big fan of her company for quite a few years. In fact, last year I had told producer Ron, you got to get this stuff. You got to detox. And so he did. And so anyways, and so what happened is I got to thinking about how, well, when you take ivermectin, you're not using a binder. And then also, are you getting a metals detox? And so I just got to thinking about that and how important it is that we do a metals detox. And so I just felt led a couple of months ago. I got to thinking about it and I got to praying about it and I just kept feeling led. And so I think today is a big day and we're going to be certainly having her, I'm sure, on more, and you're going to see why. She is absolutely incredible with the knowledge base. And so we're going to hear her story today. We're going to hear what she has created and how it's been going, which is amazing. But first, I want to give you an update. You all know that we've been working hard with the viewers here at the Michelle Moore Show to help support North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee. We have delivered over $204,000 worth of food, supplies, and love offerings. And then today, Jenica and a lady that, let's see, producer Ron, let's pull up the first image here. So on Facebook, I was tagged. And so this Brittany Rowland says, today I met with Jenica to get some food supplies that she has in Swannanoa for our blessing box. Seriously, the sweet soul, I think she means seriously, the sweetest soul you will ever meet. I agree. Jenica is precious. She says, thank you, Jenica and the Michelle Moore Show for donating these supplies. She says, we appreciate them so much and will continue to bless families here in Western North Carolina. And so she tagged me, she tagged Jenica, as you can see. And then she attached also a photo. There they are together. And then you see another photo of the back of her car. So this Brittany also included her car. And so I recognized those food items. And then I had responded. So I want you to see what I responded back and said, it's my honor to serve with my viewers who are the very generous donors. I said, none of this would be possible without them. And Brittany responded back and said, Michelle, we are so appreciative of the food. I have a blessing box in Hendersonville, North Carolina, that this is being used towards, and some families we have been helping since day one of hurricanes. So thank you. I said, Brittany, you ladies and men that are on the ground support are doing God's work. Keep going. And so then we had another lady that's not showing, I didn't show it in all of this now, but since these screenshots were taken and for today's show, another lady piped up and said, Michelle, the food that you've been delivering from your show and your donors, which are your viewers, we've been using them as well. So really how it's ended up being is Jenica is like where we take everything and drop it off. And Jenica has ended up being the distribution center. And so in getting it out into the communities and to the people and to the schools. And so we just, it's amazing. And Jenica is doing, just like I said in that message, Jenica and these other men and women are doing the on the ground support, which is absolutely amazing. If you want to give to North Carolina, in fact, we just had somebody earlier asking where do I get the information on how to get a donation to you? So here's how. You can look in the show description on any of our Rumble shows for the last 6 months, and you'll see the instructions, and that includes today's show. So if you go to the Michelle Moore Show Rumble channel and then just click into the show description, it's going to give you how to donate. Also, it's going to give you important links for today's show and all the other stuff too. Thinking about buying a wave watch, the link is there for frequency healing. Thinking about Rogers Hood Apothecary from today. You want to get the Purify kit that you're going to learn about today. You can get 10% off. All the information is in today's show description, and so on and so on. So just want to make sure that you know about that. Okay. All right. We got some great, oh, by the way, too, it turned out I had way more Wave Watch screen protectors than I realized. Wave Watch is so generous to us for us meeting our viewers. And so if you want a Wave Watch screen protector, it doesn't matter if you have the 1.0 or the 2.0. The 1.0 is the square, and then the 2.0, the most recent version, is the round one. We have screen protectors for both. If you asked for them a week or so ago when I initially announced it, my assistant just got all those prepared today, and they're going out tomorrow. So just keep an eye on your mailbox. If you have not, this is what you can do. You can email me, michelle@nashvillemichelle.com. And in the subject line, you have to put 1.0 or 2.0. I will know what you're talking about. Okay. And so put that in there and then put your address and your phone number. So if I have a question about your address, and I will send you a screen protector of whichever one that you have. Okay. So the square one is the 1.0. This little bit smaller is the round It's the 2.0. Make sure you put that in the subject line so we know. And as long as we have them, we'll be sending them out. When you get something from us for free, it always includes the shipping and the handling and all that kind of good stuff. So you just send us your stuff, and as long as we have it, we'll get it sent to you. Okay. All right. So let's go on ahead without further ado. I want to go on ahead and bring Kim Rogers in. She's known as the Worm Queen. She is the co-founder and the CEO of Rogers Hood Apothecary and the inventor of the Parify Parasite Kit, which we're going to be talking about today. Welcome, Kim.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm excited you're here. And so are my viewers. I was looking at some of the comments in the Rumble live chat as we were getting ready, as we were just kind of coming on live, and people were talking about all the different things that, they were excited about. And producer Ron shared that Tanya Jones says, everything I need or everything I've got needs to be detoxed. So I'm excited about this show. I thought that was hilarious. That's funny, Tanya. Okay, so before we get started about the Parify Kit and all of the details and the goodies and all the education, I want to first have you please share what's the backstory, because I know there's got to be one where you probably were sick, and I know little bits and pieces, but I want to hear it from you and make sure my viewers know so they can piece it all together.
Well, I come from Western medicine. I actually hold 2 healthcare degrees. I was valedictorian in both of my healthcare degrees because I really like to learn. And then I worked in the field. I pivoted into academia, and I ran 25 healthcare colleges, and I was a professor. I wrote medical health books. I was a subject matter expert. I served on advisory boards. I just really love medicine. I love the human body. And in 2019, I got really ill. And so I had to kind of figure it all out on my own. But I come from this world, and I really enjoy helping other people. It's been a passion of mine since my 20s, and I'm 46 years old now. So I've been doing this for a really long time. And I had 13 surgeries and a hysterectomy when I was 29 years old. So I've been in the Western medicine world personally and professionally. And then 2019, my health started to decline rapidly, and I wasn't able to get any help. So my husband and I figured out what to do on our own. And that's what I share, is that knowledge that I found.
Okay. So when you got sick in 2019, what was it that you ended up being sick with? I mean, obviously I'm thinking parasites were included, but but what happened? How'd you know you were sick?
So in 2019, I just declined. Like, I was swollen. I wasn't going to the bathroom. I couldn't have any more surgeries. I had maxed out my surgeries. It was creating another scar tissue disease inside of my body. So we packed up our lives. We quit our jobs. We owned a piece of recreational property on the outskirts of a rainforest in Washington. And we decided we were going to build a log home. And I was circling the drain, and I didn't want to leave my husband with a mortgage and debt. So when we got out there, we literally started to look into holistic ways, mushrooms. That's why we pay homage to the mushrooms so much on all of our merch and on our website. And about a year in, I was starting to feel a little bit better, but I wasn't to the optimal level that I should be at for changing my food, changing my environment, really getting a lot of stress out of my life. And that's when we started to kind of look into what else it could be than just, my endometriosis. And I actually in 2021 watched a TikTok of a girl that said she almost unalived herself over worms. And so obviously I went and ordered that one cleanse right away. And within 3 days, I saw flukes, roundworm, and pinworms in the toilet. And the pain that I had that always led me to a surgery every 2 years was gone. And that's when I did my video in 2021, actually 2 days from now, 4 years ago. So on July 18th, I went viral, very, very viral. And I've literally not stopped. I do this every day.
Yeah. Okay. So you went viral.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What was it in that video that led you to be viral?
I just said that I'd been in Western medicine for over 18 years and I've never dewormed myself until now. And they came out of my skin. I had them come out of my feet. They were in the toilet, and literally share that with everybody. Like I'm not afraid to talk about it. I find that people will hear it and freak out, but then they're intrigued because this is something that Western medicine countries has an issue with. We're not deworming our bodies like we deworm our pets. We eat questionably. We have issues with our chronic illness, and we're just not really going down the cleansing route because we are inundated with multiple different issues for environmental toxins more than just parasites,
Okay. Well, I can tell you right now, we openly talk about all different kinds of stuff here at the Michelle Moore Show. So you can talk about whatever you want to. It'll be
Okay.
good.
I'm
Okay.
excited. I'm excited because there's things that I don't talk about on my platform, like ivermectin.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of knowledge around ivermectin because I've dove very deep into the wormhole of everything. Most people say a rabbit hole. I'm in the wormhole down here holding the light. Like, you guys need to come down here and at least deworm a few times a year, 3 to 4 times a year, preferably. But I
All
feel
right.
like
Well,
we just kind of don't talk about it,
yeah. Yeah. And there's been it's hard to find somebody who knows both sides. And
Mhm.
so you talk with a doctor or you talk with certain people and they're all about the ivermectin thing. And that was what was concerning to me. And like I said, I had this nagging about the metals flush, the metals detox, because I saw, I don't know who it was a few years back, and it's really stuck with me. And they were talking about how they were testifying, I guess before, I don't know, some kind of a panel or committee in Washington. And the doctor, he was clearly a doctor, and he was saying that, metals in the body, when it gets to the brain, it can lead to Alzheimer's and
Mhm.
all kinds of issues. Nobody's ever talking about the detoxing the metals. And so as I was, thinking about this with ivermectin and praying, and it just had really been gnawing at me. I had no idea so many people that we were helping to get ivermectin were using it to detox only. And so as I started to realize that, that's when I started thinking, okay, there's got to be something else here that I think we can go deeper with. And that's when in prayer, I just kept coming up with reaching out to you and your company. And that's, one thing led to another. So, okay, so we know a little bit about your backstory. You go viral. How do
Mhm.
you end up? So you take something, it worked for you.
Mhm.
Why did you end up doing the Parify kit for the cleansing and the detoxing? Why would you create that if you already had something that had helped you? Was it having some holes in that as well, like the metal? Okay, all
Yes.
right,
I mean, we're very aligned in this heavy metal
yeah,
because when you are deworming, they're physical worms. There's multiple different levels of worms. There's parasites, right? That's protozoas that are microscopic. And then you have nematodes, which are physical worms. And those all hold heavy metals, spores, viruses, bacteria. They can hold 6 to 8 times their weight in heavy metals. And so when you are taking something like ivermectin or any sort of antiparasitic and you're not bringing in a heavy metal detox, you're literally dumping all of that back into your body and you're not binding. So when I went viral, now, not a little viral. Within 2 hours of that video, 1 million people watched it. And at one point, I had 40 to 50 million people watching my TikTok account before they caught wind over a few years ago. And now they've like heavily censored me. And so I started learning that, oh my gosh, they can hold heavy metals in their bodies. And when you're dumping them, you're basically burning their house down. All of that that's in their house is just being put back into your body. So you really need to have a system. You can't just do a parasite cleanse. You have to do a parasite cleanse, a candida cleanse, a heavy metal cleanse. You have to break the biofilm that they surround themselves with. And in order to get the whole house to burn down to the ground to expose them, you have to bring specific things in to break the biofilm. And then it's a little uncomfortable. So I brought in other herbs in my kit, and then you have to bind. And a binder, for those of you that might not know what a binder is, ours is Ceylon cinnamon and coconut activated charcoal. That's a negative herb. And toxins are positive. So you're creating a magnet so that it doesn't go back into your body. When you take something like an antiparasitic like ivermectin or fenbendazole or mebendazole, then you really aren't going in and binding anything. You are going in and binding, like killing off, but you're not supporting, and you're also not removing what they're dumping into your body. And they're only specific frequencies and only specific parasites, worms that you're going in and killing. It's not all of them. So you can actually dust things up that you never even had a problem with to begin with by doing those things. You really got to come in behind and do like a Parify, which is a general parasite cleanse that will then sweep everything out.
Okay. And also with ivermectin, am I correct in suspecting that it's not detoxing the metals out of the body?
Correct. And even if you're taking it for anything, it's still acting in your body the way it's supposed to. So in your mind, you might be taking it for like long hauler, right? Or back in 2020 when they were doing it prophylactically, they were dusting parasites up in people's bodies and they weren't binding. So even though they were taking it for this specific reason, that particular medication or that particular herb doesn't know the difference. It's going in and doing its job, and it's alleviating the ailment that the frequency is trying to do. And when I say frequency, I mean things like when an opera singer sings, her
Yes.
voice gets to the same frequency as the glass, so it shatters the glass. That's all I'm doing with herbs. I figured out what frequency each one of the ailments that I had as an issue while I was deworming happened, and I brought in an herb. So cilantro is a heavy metal herb. And so I go in and I soak that herb in my manufacturing facility that we create our own products in. We have a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility and 30 employees. We do all of this ourselves. So I go in and I created all of these different tinctures with these herbs to assist with the ailments that I had problems with while I was deworming. I literally had metals coming out of my body on multiple occasions because I wasn't doing it all correctly. And there isn't a whole system out there that explains it the way that we now explain it at Rogers Hood.
Okay. And so that's the whole point that got my attention is that, you've got a comprehensive program. And that's what I was looking for because I was concerned that things were getting kind of stirred up in people's bodies. And also because I know what I know about the heavy metals through my research, that's, we see so many people getting Alzheimer's and dementia. And so, I just happen to have that information in the back of my mind going, okay, I think that very few people even talk about metals detox. Right. And very few ever talk about binders. And so we're going to go through this today. So before we get started, I want to show a video that I saw of yours on your Instagram channel that just gives people kind of a clear vision of what the kit includes. And then we're going to go piece by piece. And then we're going to explain it because I think we're going to connect dots for people. And then we're already getting a lot of questions from viewers too. So We'll cover those. I promise viewers, we will go through and answer questions. Okay. So let's take a look at Kim's video, producer Ron.
The Parify Kit, your 30-day parasite cleanse. Let's go over it. Parify, it's your parasite cleanse. Sustain, it's your candida and your bad bacteria cleanse. Metal Flush, it's your heavy metal detox. Cinnabon, it's your binder. We include instructions, we have a nut-free option, and we ship internationally. We recommend doing it 3 to 4 times a year. You can find it right here at Rogers Hood.
Okay, so I have one of the kits. You can see it just like what she showed on there. And then we also have another thing we're going to be covering today, and that is the fulvic soak, what it is and why do we use it. And then also when you get the kit, there is also a card. And this card gives you information, all different kinds of valuable information. And we're going to be covering this today as well. Okay. All right. So the first thing is in the Parify kit, which is your 30-day parasite cleanse. Parify, which is the first one that's listed in that video and in the box, is Parify. So it's for the parasite cleanse itself. Explain to us about this and why is it important and what does it do?
So that's your main cleanse. It has wormwood, garlic, black walnut hull, which sweeps out eggs. So wormwood goes in and attacks the parasites. And then you have black walnut hull that helps remove the eggs because as they're dying, they're dropping everything, including eggs. That's the next generation. They want their generation. They want their community. They want their family to survive. So you got to go in and sweep out those eggs. And that's a tough one because Ivor and synthetics don't always do that. And so they can rehatch. And that's why you have to do multiple cycles of parasite cleansing is you like get rid of the adults and you try and get rid of the larvae and you try and get rid of the eggs, but it doesn't always work. So you have to go back in and redo it. You've got clove that also helps with removing of eggs and goes in and navigates different parts of the parasite, like in different parts of your body. Then you have sustain, which is our second tincture. And this actual tincture makes us a little bit different because it not only is another parasite cleanse, but it also assists with viruses that they're dropping. It helps curb your appetite because while you're cleansing, even when you're doing synthetics, you're going to get hungry for funky things and you're going to get hungrier because they don't want to die. So you're trying to not feed them. So a lot of times you're kind of starving them. And you want to go in and kind of curb that appetite. So I was eating food like hamburgers and ice cream, and I don't eat like that. And I'm like, why am I eating like this? And it's because they're wanting to get strength and I'm wanting to off them. And it's not really working out for either one of us. So I found an herb that will help with that. But also Usnea goes in and assists, which is one of the herbs in sustain. It assists with viruses that they're dropping. It's an antiviral and antibacterial. And then Oregon grapefruit, when it's paired with wormwood, goes in and assists with multiple different types of parasites.
Okay. All right. So sustain, when we watched that video, it said Candida and bad bacteria cleanse. So for those that don't know what Candida is, because I'm sure there's somebody watching going, what's Candida? Please explain.
So Candida is an overgrowth of yeast. We have yeast in our body, but when it overgrows, it turns into a parasite. And the definition of a parasite is anything that feeds off of the host. And the Latin term is an unwanted dinner guest. So it's kind of gross.
No, right? Okay. And bad bacteria. So, I know there's the good bacteria, right? It's our gut. And so when you're saying bad bacteria, are we talking about that's in the gut or is there bad bacteria throughout the whole body?
Both. They're in our cells. You can have bad bacteria in your cells, but a bad bacteria example would be like H. pylori and diverticulitis. Those are bacterias. And the reason why they're so harmful isn't just because it's a bad bacteria, but our intestines are like 22 feet long and they're supposed to be a smooth muscle. And so when you get divots inside, that's where the bad bacteria lives, is inside like a divot of your gut. And so you're trying to heal your gut while you're trying to remove environmental toxins like heavy metals, parasites, and candida. And so it's really difficult to do that unless you're going in and removing the bacteria. And then you go in and you remove the parasites, and then you can really work on healing and smoothing out that muscle of your gut.
Okay. All right. The next one is metals flush. So you got the metal flush. And in the video, it said it's a heavy metal detox. Okay. So explain, how do we get metals in our body?
We're exposed to metals every day in our water, in our food, breathing our air. There's heavy metals everywhere. And when you have parasites, they can absorb those and then they just chill inside the parasites, or our bodies just absorb them. So we have to rid our bodies or at least cleanse some of that out so it doesn't continue to accumulate and damage our health. So not only does Metal Flush help with removing heavy metals, but due to the fact that environmental toxins, including parasites, they have a biofilm that's hard. So it's like a shell around an egg. And that's how they're able to be invaders. And that's how they're able to steal our nutrients, because it's basically an entrance only. And then you have to break that biofilm to really have a successful parasite cleanse. When you break that biofilm, that's their house. You're breaking their home, and then they're exposed. And then you come in like a shock and awe, and you come in with the other herbs, and it pounces them, and it works more successfully when you have a biofilm buster, which we use lungwort lichen. And then lungwort lichen also, which is in Metal Flush, it's an herb, also breaks down mucus because they live in mucus. So there's multiple stages of it. we also found that you have to support your liver. So I brought in dandelion root, and sometimes it is uncomfortable to cleanse and you get headaches. And so I brought in white willow bark in order to assist with the ailment of that headache. So all of those things make it so that it's a comfortable cleanse versus being uncomfortable and not wanting to do the cleanse. And then you've got cinnamon, which is your binder. And again, you need to bind. When they're dying off, they're releasing everything in their body. They're just like, well, I'm dead. And then they open up and then they just dump it all. So you really need to bind with any antiparasitic, not just the Parafy kit. I'm talking everything, including pumpkin seeds and papaya seeds. And I found out a couple of months ago and I was shook. Pineapple. I watched a video that I did where they did pineapple juice with worms, and they did it under a microscope, and literally it started birthing the child outside of them. I mean, it just shook me. And so that's why it's so important to bind. And that's what makes the Parafy cleanse so much better than other ones, because you're actually going in, eradicating them, binding them, not allowing them to reabsorb back into your system, not allowing the heavy metals to get back into your system. It really is going in and being proactive and protecting you.
All right. So are you saying that when you drink pineapple juice or eat pineapple, you're going to need to take a binder with that?
Yeah, you should actually bind if you get massages. You should bind anytime you do any sort of lymphatic movement, because your body doesn't have a sphincter for the lymphatic, which means it's not pumping your sewer. Your lymphatic system's your sewer. So it's not pumping it. And so anytime you're manually pumping it or you're taking an antiparasitic food, you can have an inhospitable environment for them. And then they get threatened and they start to dump their eggs. They start to dump the heavy metals. They start to dump the viruses. So you should bind.
Okay. Wow. All right. So when I look at this bottle, so let's look at Parafy. And so, it says take 15 drops directly 3 times a day. And so before meals for purifying cleanse. And it says you can dilute it in 2 ounces of water or juice.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because, I'm just thinking how, from day one. So day one, are you taking and every day thereafter for the 30-day cleanse, are you doing all 30 things or all 4 things, all 30 days?
Yeah.
Unless you start having problems with constipation. I know with constipation, you're going to slow down on this, but is that the kind of idea? Is that all 4 of these products are for 30 days?
Yeah, all of our kits are 30 days. I actually give you around 40 to 45 days worth of product in case you want to keep going. So you can finish off the tinctures, and it's all 3 tinctures 3 times a day, and it's 15 drops, and then you bind at night. That's it. It's very simple. I didn't want to make it complicated. I just want people to cleanse. So I made it as simple as possible. I give you extra for a couple of reasons. One, the 30-day cleanse, and then you can actually do 5 days over the full moon. So I give you enough to do 5 days for the 2 months in between over the full moon, because there is a correlation with the full moon and parasites. And then you hop back on the 30 days. And in the process of all of this, I actually created a lymphatic kit. So it's called Lymph. And that also can be used in conjunction with the Parafy kit. And you can use that with the 5 days in between as well. And it just kind of helps keep it going and keep your lymphatic system open. So it just really is a good idea for us to be doing this very often,
Yeah. All right. I also want to mention, I know that you guys have such a high demand on the products. So I know that you can be a little bit delayed in getting out the packages. So if somebody orders today, it can take as much as 30 days to get the package?
Yeah. We're around 3 to 4 weeks processing, because we make this ourselves in our 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility that we built ourselves. We run ourselves. We soak herbs. And if you're not familiar with the way that tinctures are made when they're all organic, all natural, is that we take all the herbs and we soak them for 5 to 8 weeks. So when we go viral, we're pulling herbs from the shelf that's in like this vast of Everclear, because that's how we soak it, and then also with the herbs, and they sit there for 5 to 8 weeks depending on the needs of those herbs, and then we process them ourselves. So if we're like, oh my gosh, we went viral overnight and had no idea, we have to start our soak so it can take a little bit longer.
That makes sense. Okay. And it's a small business. Everybody I go through that. Godly grannies that way. And it's a small business. And so when things take off, it's like, oh no, we got to keep up. Okay. So the Parify kit, I love the little card that comes in it. It says a 30-day parasite cleanse kit. And it says the Parify kit is designed to clear parasites, candida, fungal strains, and heavy metals while strengthening vital detox pathways. And it says suggested use, and it does say that children that are from 3 to 10 can take this, gives instructions on that as well. So if somebody's watching, has a child that's been sick, maybe have some skin issues, would this help those?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Skin issues come from the gut.
Yeah. Okay. And by the way, I have to tell you, a shocker for me, I learned about 5 years ago, was that your gut health immediately or directly impacts your brain health. It can impact, let's say, if you feel depression. And so skin issues, there's a ton of things that bad gut health, can impact. And so by taking care of the bad bacteria cleanse, that's what got my attention, because I'm like, wait a minute, that's like gut health that we're talking about here as well. So that's important, very important. It's shocking how much bad gut health impacts your body in a million different ways. But the biggest thing is feelings of depression and just, skin issues, grogginess, a ton of things.
Well, that's really what kind of triggered me to get involved more with my gut health and to dive deeper into parasites. Is I have really great skin, and I've always had really great skin. But there was a period of time when I was so infested with parasites that I had terrible skin. And I was so ill and I could not get my skin under control. And I'm using all these amazing products. And so I had to dig deep and find out what was going on. It was a huge indication. I actually had them come out of my skin, like watched them on my face come out of what I thought was a zit, and it was not.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right. So Producer Ron, if you would please put the website up, and obviously for the 10% discount, the discount code is MICHELLEM 10. No spaces, for 10% at checkout. That way, so it's rogershood.com. And that's not just on the Parify kit that we're talking about today. It's on your entire order. So we want everybody to know that. This is also in the description, the show description on the Rumble channels as well. And so we want everybody to know that today and, for the unforeseeable future, we're going to continue. So you can use that coupon code to get a discount. All right. So I want to go back to Cinnabon.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody gets constipated, in what I was reading and what I've been learning, you say to discontinue this. Is it just until that clears up and then you go back to this? Because I'm thinking this is always important, but maybe a day or two, and then increase fiber?
Yeah. And there's a couple things that you can do. And we do recommend other people's products when you are constipated. I like biotoxin binder from Cellcore. It's a little more gentle than the charcoal if you do get constipated pretty easily. You can do things like castor oil on the abdomen with red light that helps break up what's going on. You can do cream of tartar, which is potassium, which is a natural stool softener. You can do that in like coconut water with a little Baja sea salt, and then a teaspoon of cream of tartar, mix that up and chug that. That will help break up any of the hardened stuff. It's considered a die-off when you're constipated, but charcoal can also be a little harder on the gut. And we are working actually on getting a new binder. So we'll have Cinnabon, and then I'm working on a binder that's a little more gentle. I struggle with charcoal. I've always struggled with charcoal, but it's just really a helpful bind.
Okay. All right. So you have a nut-free option. Want to make sure that we cover that. And so when they go to order, is there a place to see where it says nut-free?
Yes,
Okay.
there is.
All right. And then you ship internationally. I have viewers all over the country, so that's very important to know, or all over the world. So, especially in Canada, we have a lot of Canadian viewers. So, we want to make sure they're taken care of as well. That was another big plus for having you on, is making sure that I always want to make sure everybody's taken care of. And so, not just the
Same.
Americans. So, all right. Recommending that everyone detox and goes through this 30-day cleanse 3 to 4 times a year. So, you're talking about quarterly. So it's
Yes.
kind of like on 1 month, off 2 months, on 1 month, off 2 months. So explain that a little bit. I want to make sure that people really take this away and understand that this isn't a one and done, and why.
Well, and that's minimum. That's a minimum amount that we say to do. You can do back to backs with 7 days between. If you're like almost done and you think, oh, I still need to keep going, you really can keep going. I just made it as simple as possible because we've been indoctrinated in a way to think that you only can do it this long. People get tired of doing it. And so I don't want someone to do the cleanse and spend a whole bunch of money and then they're like, so I made it so that it's 30 days, but you can continue to keep going. But every 3 to 4 times a year is seasonally, and we should be doing that to maintain our health. My whole thing in life now, and I do want to show your viewers what I used to look like so that they can get an idea of how sick I truly was. But that is what I used to look like when I was at my sickest. And so if I would have been proactive with my health instead of reactive, which is where we're all at, we're not proactive. And that's why I chose 3 to 4 times a year. There wasn't a whole like thought process about it other than I feel better when I cleanse. And so I want people to not feel overwhelmed, but to also know that you're starting to take your health into your own hands. And that's really where we are at in society and where we're at with this medical awakening that we're in. We really need to be proactive with our health. So 3 to 4 times a year minimum. Other countries cleanse a couple of times a year. Jamaica cleanses monthly with a thing called the bush tea. So really, it's kind of how you want to integrate it into your life, but the minimum is 3 to 4 times.
Okay. All right. The next thing is I wanted to make sure that we talked about Herxmeyer reactions. So I know many times we're experiencing this a little bit with Godly Granny products, even where somebody starts taking a healthier product, they have some kind of a reaction. They think, oh, I'm allergic to it. No, it's just that you're having a Herxmeyer reaction. It's working and you're detoxing. Can you explain that a little bit? And by the way, just so that our viewers know, these are temporary potential Herxmeyer reactions, aka die-off or detox symptoms. So it's headache, dizziness, constipation, diarrhea, sore throat, bloating, gas, skin breakouts, I think are very common, anxiety, depression, irritability, and fatigue. All right.
Well, they're like dying inside of you, releasing things. They're peeing and pooping inside of you, and then they're dropping things off. So your body's responding as fast as it can to be like, no, like when you have the flu and you feel all achy and your body is ramping up that immune system. And unfortunately, when it does that, it puts the energy into something else that it's focusing on. And then your other organs start to kind of go, oh, okay, so now where am I at with the energy, right? And so your body's doing everything it's supposed to be doing when you have die-offs. It's just unfortunate that it feels the way it does, but there's things happening in your body when you have die-offs.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And it's amazing too to listen and know that other countries that they've been doing this for years, and somehow this is just information suppressed from us from so many ways. It's just amazing.
Well, I mean, we've only been in Western medicine for 101 years. And before that, this was normal. This was what we used to do. We knew instinctively what to do. And Mother Earth will give you what you need. It knows what to do as well. So we used to do these. We used to cleanse. We used to know that this was a thing, but unfortunately, it got lost in translation over the last 101 years since 1924. Before that, we would do this often. Where other countries, they will do synthetics a couple of times a year. They know that this is an issue with water. They know this is an issue with food. Walking barefoot outside, I'm not saying not to ground, but hookworm and whipworm are in the ground, roundworm, and it's easy to contract. Your pets, we deworm our animals. We're not deworming ourselves. We're out there eating raw produce, raw fish, which fish is notorious for parasites. Meat, we're not cooking our meat the way we should be. So we are exposed on a daily basis. It's just a matter of us, again, being proactive about it.
That's right. Okay. The other part that I got was the fulvic soak. So would you talk a little bit about this? Now, this is not part of the Purify cleanse. So if somebody's ordering the cleanse, just know that you've got that this is an extra optional item. And so I always get this. I like this product. I like to take a bath in it. And so, but many of my viewers, I have learned, don't take baths, they take showers, and you can do that as well with this. But would you please explain what the fulvic soak does, please?
So fulvic is a mineral and your skin is an absorber. Transdermal is a way to get things into your body. And I went very viral over a fulvic soak because I had it come out of my feet. I had worms swim out of my feet and I videoed it. Oh man. So it was literally just chilling and swimming back and forth in the water. And so I found that fulvic is a really great way and a great addition to a parasite cleanse. It helps kind of mitigate die-offs and kind of calm down by also assisting parasites to come out of your body. And your feet, which is how I do mine, I do a foot soak. So you let it sit for 30 minutes and then while you're soaking. And then once you're done, you kind of let the water sit for another 30. And then you have heavy metals that are released out of your feet or out of your skin when you're bathing. And it just kind of helps kind of calm down die-offs, but it also is a detox. So if you do just the fulvic, you do want to bind because it is another way of detoxing your body. But fulvic is needed in our body and it absorbs through our skin when we're doing these things. Everything absorbs through your skin. That's also a big thing that people don't realize, that everything absorbs through your skin.
We talk a lot about that because of so much of what Godly Granny offers. It's through the skin. And we have been so conditioned to think that everything needs to be a pill, when really pills are about the least effective thing that you can do. That's what I love too about this isn't, the Cinnabon is a pill, but everything else are liquids. And so that's another thing that was a big selling point for me. It wasn't a bunch of pills to take, because it goes through the digestive system. And then what do you absorb? Maybe 10% at the most. And so this was going to be so much better. I love everything about it. Okay. So let's talk about some of these viewer comments and questions, because I've seen some great questions coming through. And I know people are eager to hear the answers to their questions. So let's see here. Deborah Lynn W. says, I look forward to the day when all of the people when Eastern Tennessee and Western North Carolina are caught up and back to life as it should be. My heart feels full because of the goodness of Michelle and her amazing team. Thank you, Deborah. Fly Girl says, I was hoping that this is who the guest was today. I'm waiting for my Purify kit as we speak. That's awesome. Die Laughing says, a dear friend struggles with MS after receiving a Hep B vax, as suggested by her Cabal-trained doctor. Dr. Artist says that MS is parasites. What can help her? Real quick, before you answer this, Producer Ron, we're going to end up having to cut the feed to YouTube because there's just too many of these buzzwords. And so if you're watching on YouTube, if you would please go to another platform that we have. You can always go to X for Truth Talk America, truthtalkamerica.com. You can go to the Truth Talk America Rumble channel, and you can go to the Michelle Moore Show Rumble channel. So bunches of places to see us. truthtalkamerica.com is an easy one. But anyways, okay. So Producer Ron, if you would cut the feed to this, thank you so much. Okay. So Kim, how do